Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. In today's video, we'll be going over everything that has happened at Pro Tour Singapore so far, leading into the top 8, give some predictions, and also talk about how we got where we got in terms of like conversions on heroes and kind of why I think we got to the top 8 that we did. We'll also show off some Ira deck lists from the Pro Tour, as well as ones that are in the calling currently, and just kind of give you some different looks, because Ira actually, even if she didn't convert super well this event, I think she had some really cool lists that people were not expecting. We'll talk about that here in a second. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. If you're a long-staying supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below, as well as the channel membership, and we'll get right into it. So this was the Pro Tour meta, as you can see on the screen. Pretty standard at the top, right? But I would say heroes 1 through 6 really weren't that much of a surprise. Slippy, Gravy, Syndra, Verdance, Dash.io, and Prism. In national season, those were pretty much the top 6, right? If I remember correctly. So there really wasn't too big of a surprise there. Acilio also being a little bit more represented than usual is also not a surprise. The hero has now gone from a fringe passion pick or like high specialist pick to like, okay, this hero actually has some game into the meta, right? Victor is an interesting one. I think, like we were talking about before on the channel, and other people have talked about on their channels as well, when it came to this weird kind of crux that we have in the meta. And I kind of want to talk about that for a second, if you'll let me. I'm actually going to bring it up really fast in terms of like meta share and win percentages and stuff like that. So this is Fab Blazing, a really cool tool that came out recently, and it will give you basically the win percentages hero by hero breakdown of any specific event. This is the Pro Tour. As you can see, the number one hero is 54% at Verdance. Arachne slipped through the cracks, followed by Kano actually with 87 matches played, so a little bit different representation. And then we have Gray Bones at 53, and it goes down. So nothing was too crazy. The reason that this is interesting is because going into this event, a lot of people were trying to kind of maybe predict how many aggressive decks were we going to have, how many like Syndras and Katsus and even like Iras that can prey on Gravy a little bit more, like how many basically anti-Gravy decks were going to rise versus how many like how many Gravies were going to be here, right? Like a lot of people were talking about like, okay, if a lot of Gravy players are perceiving that there's going to be so many like Syndras and maybe Katsu comes in at like where Acilio was, right? Like if we go back to the representation, if Katsu goes to like where Acilio is, maybe like 13, 14 Katsus, maybe Ira even pops up a little bit more and people are just trying to do anti-Gravy stuff, then Gravy's like performance would go down. The weird thing about this meta is, and overall I think we're in a good spot. Like post this event, I don't think LSS needs to do anything. I think we're in a really good spot. I don't think any one hero was egregious. I just think it was the perfect storm at high level play for some of these heroes, because Gravy has bad matchups into a lot of the aggressive decks, into Dash.io, into Syndra. Like for example, into Dash.io, Gravy was 7-13 in the Pro Tour. It's a 35% win rate. Into Syndra specifically, it was 11-24, which is a 31% win rate. It had literally a 0% win rate in Akatsu over 3 matches, so on and so forth. Even some other ones like Acilio, it had a 40% win rate with just a few matches. But the big ones are like Dio and Syndra. So people were wondering, like, are Gravy players going to swap because there's so many aggressive decks out there? Or are Gravy players going to say, nah, we can get the matchups to a good enough spot where we feel okay with it, we're going to keep it. And so you have, the aggressive matchups that can keep Gravy down. But the problem with the aggressive matchups is they don't like Arachne slip through the cracks, right? Like Arachne slip through the cracks in this event, had a 62% win rate into Syndra, had a 65% win rate into Dio, which is substantial. Had an 83% win rate in Akatsu, 5-1. So like these aggressive decks are getting kept down by Arachne slip through the cracks, whereas the decks that Arachne doesn't like, aka Earth, like Verdance, and Florian, are kind of being kept down by Gravy, because Arachne's win rates into Verdance and Florian are, for this event, were 36% at 13-23, and then 38% at 5-8 in the Florian. But the thing is, Gravy does very well into both of those decks. So it's like this weird, perfect seesaw where Arachne is keeping down the fast decks that Gravy is bad into, and then Gravy is keeping down the slow late game decks that Arachne Slip Through the Cracks has trouble into. So both of these decks were kind of helping each other rise through the meta, and that's why you saw a lot of good conversion from both these heroes, which we're looking at here. Slippy had 44% conversion rate, while Gravy had 51%. That is significantly higher with big numbers than most any other hero. The only ones that kind of came close with actual like significant representation, Marionette actually did pretty good. 67% of Marionettes getting through. 50% of the Dios got through, which is pretty significant, and then 42% of Verdances. But overall, given the amount of representation, it's pretty significant how many of them got into day 2. So as you can see here, here's the conversion rates. Nothing too crazy. The biggest one, the best one is being Dio. Over half the Dios got through into day 2. Marionette did very good. Tao Tao Chu did awesome. I was hoping that Tao Tao would make the top 8. I wanted to see a Mario in the top 8 just to kind of do some interesting things, because I know Tao Tao can kind of just skill diff a lot of people on that hero. Ira did not do as well, right? Only one Ira made it through out of the 12, and no Katsu made it through. So even though I thought Katsu was extremely good for this event, only having 6 Katsus, like, just not quite enough representation, I think, to punch through. And Slippy is very difficult for Katsu, and there was a ton of Slippy representation at this event. So nothing else too crazy from the conversion rates. I think we're in a pretty healthy spot for the most part, but this is the top 8 that we came into. We have 2 Arachne Slip Through the Cracks. We have 4 Gravy Bones, and we have a Syndra and a Verdance. It's so funny that Syndra and Verdance play each other when they're like the 2 odd heroes out. Like, one of them is going to be out for sure in top 4, which is kind of crappy. I wish they would have been in both of the Gravy spots, so we could have potentially had like a 4-hero top 4, which would have been kind of cool. But regardless, some notable names in here. We have Pro Tour winner Arthur Cherhay. We have Nats and Pro Tour winner Michael Hamilton. A bunch of really good top names here. Really excited to see if Michael and Arthur can get to the finals. That would be such an interesting thing. Both of them battling for their second Pro Tour victory. So overall, I think the top 8 is pretty good. I mean, it makes sense. Like, you know, Verdance, literally these 4 heroes were the ones that were kind of like one echelon above everything else. Verdance, Syndra, Gravy, and Slippy. So it makes sense. We have a guaranteed Slippy or Gravy in the final just because of the way the bracket is, right? With the double Gravy, double Slippy on one side. My pick is either Michael or Arthur just because of they've been here before. But we'll have to see. It's going to be really, really good. So I wanted to pull this up here really fast. Also show off some lists as we were talking about here. Like I said, really fast earlier. As you can see, Arachne Slipped Through the Cracks in this event specifically. Very bad into Florian. Very bad into Verdance. But look who's good into Verdance. Gravy. And then look at Arachne Slipped Through the Cracks. Very good into aggro. Gravy, very bad into aggro. So that's kind of like where that went here, right? So they're kind of like helping each other out, so to speak. But we also have the calling. Calling day 1 is only the day 1 of the calling has been completed so far. They played 8 rounds. They have day 2 coming up today while top 8 for the Pro Tour is going on. So we'll have to see how this all shapes out. But regardless, we have an Ira Shoma Yamamura. I'm really excited to see if Shoma can close out. Shoma is actually, I want to pull this up if I can get the right one here. Where are you, Shoma? That's Naive's list. Here's Shoma's list. So Shoma is on very much old school, like 1 power. I say old school. It's like 6 months, but old school 1 power Ira, running a lot of the combo blues that people don't like, and really making use of Flick Flack. Is running even bigger than that, so a little bit of spice in there in terms of kind of aggressiveness. He also is running, interesting enough, he's running Whirling Mist Blossom, but he's not running Scar Wraps. He's not running Iris. Just thought Whirling Mist Blossom, I think, was good enough. Even not running Razor Reflex or anything like that. Just wanted to run that aggressive piece in Whirling Mist Blossom. Is he running any reactions? I don't think he's running any reactions, actually. Nope, he is not. So he's just running Whirling Mist Blossom because he thinks the card is good enough on its own, which is really interesting. But Shoma is a very, very good player. I'm assuming this is the same list that Shoma ran back for the calling, maybe made 1 or 2 changes, but he was on stream yesterday or the day before yesterday on day 1. ended up showing off Ira there. So congrats to this show. Even though the Pro Tour didn't go his way, he's currently 7-1 in the calling, which is significant. I want to shout out Aggro Blaze, Zach Phillips. He's 13th right now on Victor in the calling, 7-1. I know he didn't have the Pro Tour he wanted, but he's doing really well in the calling. So shout out to him. And we have a lot of like the usual suspects up here at the top regardless. Michael Fang's in second right now, so on and so forth. The talk of the town in terms of the ninja circles for this event was Naib. Naib ended up placing 14th, if I remember correctly, at the Pro Tour, just outside top 8. Played really good. I think he finished with 4 losses. But he was on a Okana Scar Wraps build, like the new stuff with Edge of Autumn. However, he was on what is just commonly stated as Tiger Ira, running cards like Aspect of Tiger Body, which is insane. Biting Breeze, Chase the Tail at a 3 of, and then also running a lot of the Vengeance cards, running cards like Growl in order to buff the Tigers, and then running even cards like Tiger Eye Reflex to get that block value, make those Tigers to then make the most of Chase the Tail. Super, super interesting. Running 3 Key Unleashed in the blue base, which is really cool. I mean, if you think about it, off a 2-card hand, this would be, if you block with a Tiger Eye Reflex and you swing Edge of Autumn for 1, Tiger for 1, then Key Unleashed comes in for 4. 2 cards 7 on a blue is pretty good. Or 2 cards 6, 4, 5. Yeah, 2 cards 7. Don't do math in public. But yeah, really, really interesting list. Nothing like insane, but more of just, really interesting to see a different take. Naib is always kind of a player who brings new and inventive stuff. He's done some crazy stuff before with Betsy. He ran a Zen list that had like the tiger card that cares about tigers in hand that most people didn't run. He was running like Yellow Harmony of the Hunt and stuff like that. So very, very different type of list. But really cool to see Naib do well with something different. So if you want to try something cool and unique at your next armory, definitely give this list a shot. I'll see if I can remember to put it down below. We also had a Charles Dunn ended up playing in the Pro Tour and ended up running a Flick Knives list. Very unlike Charles Dunn. Charles Dunn normally is a fatigue player. So, not fatigue, but, slower deck value player. So to see a very aggressive version of Ira with the Flick Knives stuff, not very aggressive, but pretty aggressive. Ended up running, let's see, he was on Mask Momentum as well. As you can see, all 3 of these were not on Iris. They're all on Mask Momentum, which can't fault him for it. Like, I get it. I understand the value of Mask Momentum at the end of the day. I would like to see someone take an Iris build or a build with Iris in it at some point, but we'll have to see. But yeah, Ira doing pretty good overall with some top placers at the Pro Tour and now doing very well at the calling. There also is a Katsu here, not to get too off base, but there is a Katsu. I think it's 6-2 right now. This one, yep, it's 64th right now. They're 6-2, which is pretty good for day one. We'll see how they end up, but a couple Katsu's not doing too terrible in the calling. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, let me know. Let me know what you think of the event itself. Obviously, we had some heroes rise to the top, but I think it's kind of just the perfect storm at this high of a level for some of these heroes, because these top heroes are helping keep the bad matchup of the other top hero down. But overall, I still think this meta was extremely fun to watch, and I'm excited to see kind of how the top 8 shakes out. But thank y'all so much for watching this. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If not me, please go to our creator down in the creator worksheet below. Follow their stuff. Let's get more people seeing this game. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time on TCU Talk. Thank y'all so much.